Hey everyone, gonna take you through my passive skill tree to show you my build for the Archmage Stormweaver Sorceress class. So this build is energy shield focus. I don't go full mana just for a reason of safety because full mana, I feel full mana is stronger. However, it tends to consume a lot of mana if you have high cast speed. And as an example, I'll show you for mapping setup with Shock Siphon on my Spark. I have a cast speed right now of a total of a little over 7 casts per second, and if I were to go full mana, I would essentially run out of mana pretty fast. So yeah, you guys see how fast that went down to 0. So I'm not comfortable with going full mana just for that reason, but you can if you want to. You just have to have less cast speed or else you're just going to run out of mana completely and die. So my build is centered around energy shield for that reason. So going through this passive skill tree, one of the things you want to prioritize is let's see, skill effect duration. So picking up these nodes is going to boost your DPS a lot, even though it doesn't show up on the tooltip DPS. It makes your spark last longer, so therefore it could hit the boss or enemies multiple times. And other things you want to focus on are, for mapping purpose, is chaining. And obviously cast speed is a pretty big multiplier for damage. So pick up cast speed when you can. Right here I have the Against the Darkness Time Lost Diamond, which gives me 12 spirit per notable passive skills. Notable passive skills are these large ones over here, and the small passive skills are the one leading up to it. So these three notable gives me a total of 36 spirit, and with 30 for my helmet, I have a total of 166. You want to reach about 160 spirit if you're running Cast on Shock. Cast on Shock right here is a very powerful skill to have, especially if you run it with Lightning Conduit. Because right now the scaling on Lightning Conduit is kind of broken. It does, if you can see right there, 100% more damage with hits per 5% shock effect on enemy. So base shock is 20%. So this skill with base shock does 400% more damage with just 20%. So you can see how the more shock effect that you have, the more damage this skill does. Essentially, I have about 50 to 60% shock effect in my build so far, and this skill essentially one shots the boss. So 160 if you want to run Cast on Shock with Lightning Conduit, and you don't need to run this if you don't want to. You can just go pure Spark. I just have this on because it's nice to one-shot bosses. Anyways, back to the skill tree. And I've played around with this a lot, messed around with a lot of different setup. I think this is the best in terms of balance, in terms of mapping, bossing potential, and tankiness. You have a lot of energy shield and mana to negate any burst damage from AoEs or on death explosion effects. For the jewels, you want 3 of combination of energy shield, cast speed, mana on kill, and magnitude of shock. Priority here is the magnitude of shock and recover mana on kill. Magnitude of shock just increases your damage. Just the way that shock damage scales right now, it's broken. And the mana on kill is just a quality of life bonus. So try to get 3 of these if you can. You really feel after 2, you're gonna feel how nice it is. When you kill mobs, it regenerates your mana pretty fast. So try to get 3 of these, and then going on to the emeralds, you want to have you want to prioritize Pierce, Magnitude of Shock, or Magnitude of Ailment, and Chance to Shock on your emeralds if you can. The priority here is Pierce, and you can only get it on an emerald. The Pierce, you want to keep it between 30 to 50% Pierce. I think 30 to 50% Pierce is a sweet spot for map clearing and bossing. Pierce does increase your your damage against boss DPS. It just doesn't show on the tooltip as well. You don't have to run emeralds if you run a Megalomaniac diamond or an allocation on your amulet that gives you either, let's see, clean shot, which gives about 15% pierce, piercing shot, which gives about 50% pierce, and the last one is shrapnel, 30% pierce, and 10% chance to chain an additional time from terrain. So if you have about 30 to 50% chance of pierce from allocations, you don't have to run emeralds. I run emeralds because I think it's the most efficient way to get pierce, and it also gives you chance to shock from these emeralds. So it's a nice bonus, and increasing chance to shock just multiplies your damage, your ability to proc lightning conduit for a lot of damage. So it's nice to have. And let's see. So 3 sapphire, 2 emeralds, and then my unique jewels. Like I said, if you want to have 160 spirit, you want to have a Against the Darkness Time Lost diamond with 12 spirit, and then also have a bit of spirit on your helmet to be able to hit that 160 sweet spot. My other 2 jewels are 3+ spark skills. You don't need to have 3+ sparks. Obviously, 3+ sparks is very expensive right now. So you could get +1 or +2 for relatively cheap. Well, +2 is about 100 to 150 divs right now. +1, I believe, is about 30-ish. But you can see this Prism of Belief diamond right here. It boosts your DPS a lot. Actually, it boosts my DPS by, I believe, over 100k. It's just bugged right now because once you take it off, and it doesn't show. But once you switch, let me see if I can demonstrate. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a tooltip bug going on with the Prism of Belief diamond where you need to change location. You see, so 336. And then once I put it back on, once you put it back on, you have to switch location again to update to have the tooltip update correctly. Yeah, so 336 to 470. So that's a little over 130k boost. Again, you don't have to have a +3, +1 or +2 will suffice as well. This is one of the biggest DPS booster that you can get, is this Prism of Belief diamond with plus spark skills. The other last unique jewel that I have is a Megalomaniac diamond with Overzealous, Flow Like Water, and Power Conduction. Right now, the Overzealous allocation is underrated because it gives the most cast speed for a single allocation. It gives a total of 16% cast speed. The only drawback is that it does increase your mana cost by 15%. So make sure you can run this because this is like I said, it's pretty slept on right now. 16% cast speed for a single allocation, and cast speed is just one of those. It's just one of the better multiplier to your DPS if you can afford it. Second allocation is flow like water. Again, more cast speed, a little bit of dex and intelligence. And last one is power conduction. You don't need to have power conduction. I was just able to get this Megalomaniac for relatively cheap, and power conduction essentially saves me 3 points, right? It saves me from having to put points here, here, and here to get power conduction. So just having power conduction on my Megalomaniac saves me 3 passive skill points, which I can allocate somewhere else. I'll probably make a separate video on what Megalomaniac Diamond to use, but a very good starting point is to get a cast speed allocation on your Megalomaniac Diamond, or a magnitude of shock allocation like Frazzled. Let me show you. Frazzled should be somewhere down here. Yeah, Frazzled or alternating current. All right. So there's a couple choices that you can take when it comes to Megalomaniac Diamond, but for the most DPS, like I said, I prefer Overzealous and a combination of magnitude of shock or more cast speed, or an allocation that would save you a couple more points from having to allocate it manually. So those are my 3 unique jewels. And then going on to the green here. The green is the second weapon set. So second weapon set is basically used for buffing, essentially. So I have Sigil of Power on this staff. You want to lay this down so that you get a insane damage boost because of the way that it scales right here. Let's see. Yeah, so buff grants 15% more spell damage per stage. The key word here is more. Anything with the word more, that's basically multiplicative. So let me show you. You lay this down, and right now 540, boost it up to stage 4. There. 752, right? With just 1 Sigil of Power. So going back to it, you want to get skill effect duration to make the Sigil of Power last as long as possible. And you also want to get the area of effect increase so your sigil is wide enough so you can move around freely, rather than having to be confined in one spot for the duration. So skill effect duration, obviously skill effect duration on my main hand, but let's see, yeah, increase area of effect, skill duration. So my Sigil of Power with these secondary green passive skill gives me a total of about lasts about 28.5 seconds. So the cooldown is 10 and the duration is 28.5 seconds. So I could basically keep the sigil permanently if I wanted to, right? And another important thing for the skill effect duration, the other thing that affects skill that is affected by skill effect duration is your soul offering, right? So soul offering is also another more damage multiplier. This one is pretty broken as well. Run it with Dense, Macabre, Ablation, Persistence. I don't run Persistence on my Spark. You can if you want for more damage. However, since I already have a lot of skill effect duration from passive skill tree, I just decided to put Persistence on Soul Offering instead because Soul Offering, without any skill effect duration, it lasts very short. It lasts like 3 or 4 seconds top. So for quality of life purposes, I like to put Persistence on Soul Offering to make it last from 3 to 4 seconds to all the way up to 13 seconds with all the passive skill trees and support gem bonus effect. So let me show you what this thing does. All right, so right now Spark is 470. I use Soul Offering, goes up to 770. All right, so basically a Sigil of Power, another Sigil of Power. And then if you combine this with Sigil of Power, it gets up to a ridiculous number. So let me show you right now. Sigil of Power, bring it up to stage 4, and then Soul Offering. Yeah, so 1.2 mil tooltip DPS. So yeah, that's my skill tree. You can pause the video, go back, and go forward to see which point I allocated in. Try to make the video as best as I could. I'll probably make a separate video on Megalomaniac, but you know, just try to get one with Overzealous because it's a pretty underrated allocation right now, and it's going for pretty cheap. So try to get it before people catch on. And yeah, I'll probably make another separate video for skills in Megalomaniac Diamond and gearing wise. So there you go.